There's a taste you can't name. Not sweet, not salty, not sour or bitter. Something deeper. You know it when ramen hits different, when Parmesan makes pasta complete, when a burger with soy sauce just works. In 1908, a Japanese chemist finally named it umami, the fifth taste, the taste of protein. But here's what most people miss. Long before scientists isolated umami, humans were already chasing it. For 2,000 years, they fermented fish until it liquefied. They aged soybeans for years. They didn't know why it worked. They just knew it did. This is that story. 3 foods, 3 paths to the same molecule. MSG, the shortcut. Fish sauce, the ancient method. Soy sauce, the Asian staple. Same destination, completely different journeys. MSG stands for monosodium glutamate. It's a white crystalline powder that looks like salt. And it does one thing exceptionally well. It amplifies the savory, meaty flavor that the Japanese call umami. Umami is the 5th taste, alongside sweet, sour, salty, and bitter. It's that richness you get from aged cheese, ripe tomatoes, mushrooms, and a perfectly cooked steak. MSG delivers pure umami in concentrated form. But here's the thing. MSG isn't some modern laboratory creation. The story starts in Japan, 1908. A chemist named Kikunai Ikeda was eating a bowl of dashi, a traditional soup made from kombu seaweed. He noticed the broth had this incredible savory depth. Ikeda became obsessed. What was creating that flavor? He took the kombu back to his lab. After months of experiments, he isolated glutamic acid. When he combined it with sodium, he created monosodium glutamate. He tasted it. There it was. That exact savory flavor, concentrated into a white powder. In 1909, Ikeda founded Ajinomoto, which literally means essence of taste. They started producing MSG commercially from kombu seaweed. It became wildly popular in Japan. Then it spread to China, Korea, Southeast Asia. By the 1930s, MSG was a staple seasoning across East Asia. So how is MSG actually made today? Originally, it came from seaweed. Producers would extract glutamic acid from kombu through boiling and crystallization. But seaweed harvesting couldn't keep up with demand. In the 1960s, Japanese scientists discovered a better method: fermentation. It starts with sugar, usually from sugar beets, sugar cane, or corn. This sugar is dissolved in water to create a nutrient-rich broth. Then they introduce bacteria, specifically Corynebacterium, the same types of bacteria used to ferment other foods. The bacteria eat the sugar. As they metabolize it, they produce glutamic acid as a byproduct, like how yeast eats sugar and produces alcohol, or how bacteria turn milk into yogurt. The fermentation takes 24 to 48 hours in stainless steel tanks at 86 to 95 degrees Fahrenheit. The bacteria multiply. The glutamic acid accumulates. Once fermentation is complete, the bacteria are filtered out. What's left is a liquid rich in glutamic acid. Then comes neutralization. They add sodium hydroxide. The sodium bonds with the glutamic acid, creating monosodium glutamate dissolved in water. This liquid is evaporated. As it concentrates, MSG crystals form. These crystals are harvested, dried, and milled into that fine white powder. The final product is 99% pure MSG. The entire process takes about 3 days. Now, here's the kicker. MSG made through fermentation is chemically identical to the glutamate in tomatoes, cheese, and mushrooms. Your body can't tell the difference. So, if MSG is just concentrated umami from fermentation, why did it get such a bad reputation? The answer takes us back to 1968. A doctor named Robert Ho Man Kwok wrote a letter to the New England Journal of Medicine. He described experiencing numbness and weakness after eating at Chinese restaurants. He speculated it might be the MSG. The journal published it. Not as a study, just a letter. The media ran with it. Chinese restaurant syndrome became a thing. News outlets warned about MSG dangers. Restaurants put "No MSG" signs in their windows just to stay in business. Here's what nobody mentioned. Kwok's letter was anecdotal. No controlled study, no evidence, just one person's experience and a guess. Scientists immediately started testing MSG. Study after study, decade after decade. The FDA commissioned reviews. International health organizations investigated. The conclusion? In normal amounts, MSG appears to be safe. The FDA classifies it as GRAS, generally recognized as safe. Same category as salt and sugar. Some people report sensitivity, but in controlled double-blind studies, where people don't know if they're eating MSG or a placebo, these reactions typically don't appear at normal levels. But wait, while Chinese restaurants were pressured to remove MSG, American food companies were quietly adding it everywhere. Doritos, Campbell's Soups, KFC, Hidden Valley Ranch, Pringles, they just didn't call it MSG. They used terms like autolyzed yeast extract or hydrolyzed vegetable protein. All contain free glutamate, the same compound that makes MSG work. Today, MSG consumption is higher than ever. Asia uses about 1.5 million tons per year. Million tons. In Vietnam, it's called bot nyot. In Thailand, pong churot. In the Philippines, vetsin. Grandmas keep it next to the salt. And Western chefs are bringing it back. David Chang has been outspoken about MSG's unfair reputation. He uses it openly. Other chefs have followed. Because MSG makes food taste better. It enhances existing flavors. A tiny pinch can make a soup richer, a stir-fry more complex. The recommended amount? Half a teaspoon per pound of food. That's it. MSG is umami in its purest form. One molecule, instant flavor. But it only arrived in 1908. 2,000 years before Ikeda's discovery, the Romans were already addicted to something similar. A fermented fish sauce so valuable it was traded like currency across the empire. They called it garum. We call it fish sauce. And it's still made the same way today. This is how humans found umami before chemistry existed. Fish sauce is ancient. Way more ancient than soy sauce. The Romans made a version called garum. They fermented fish intestines with salt and used it on everything. It was the ketchup of ancient Rome. When the Roman Empire fell, garum disappeared from Europe. But in Southeast Asia, the tradition never stopped. Vietnam has nuoc mam. Thailand has nam pla. The Philippines has patis. Different names, same thing. Fermented fish, salt, thyme. In Vietnam, the best fish sauce comes from Phu Quoc Island. In Thailand, from coastal towns along the Gulf. These places have been making it the same way for centuries. It starts with fish, small fish, usually anchovies or sardines. These aren't the fish you'd eat for dinner. They're tiny, 3 to 4 inches long, caught by the millions. The fish are used whole, heads, bones, guts, everything. This is important because the enzymes in the fish guts are what make fermentation work. Fresh fish are mixed with salt immediately after they're caught. The ratio matters. Too little salt and the fish rot instead of ferment. Too much and fermentation stops. The standard ratio is about 3 parts fish to 1 part salt by weight. The fish and salt are layered in huge wooden barrels. A layer of fish, a layer of salt, another layer of fish, more salt, over and over. Then it's sealed and left alone for a year. Here's the thing. The fish don't rot. They ferment. There's a difference. Rotting happens when bacteria break down proteins and create ammonia and sulfur compounds. That's the smell of decay. Fermentation is controlled breakdown. The salt creates an environment where only certain microorganisms can survive. Halophilic bacteria, salt-loving bacteria. These bacteria, along with enzymes from the fish, slowly break down the proteins. The process creates amino acids, compounds that taste savory and umami-rich instead of rotten. The high salt concentration is what makes this work. During the first few months, the mixture is a thick, chunky paste. By month 6, the fish have broken down significantly. The mixture is becoming more liquid. The color shifts from gray to amber. Around month 9 or 10, the real transformation happens. The fish have almost completely dissolved. What remains is a thin, dark liquid. After a full year, it's ready. The liquid is drained off through a spigot at the bottom of the barrel. This first extraction is the premium stuff. It's called first press fish sauce. It's clear, reddish-brown, and has the most complex flavor. This goes into the expensive bottles. The remaining solids can be mixed with salt water and fermented for a few more months. This second extraction is lighter, less intense, and less expensive. The liquid is filtered, then bottled. No cooking, no pasteurization in traditional production, just pure fermented fish liquid. Now here's the kicker. The smell and the taste are completely different experiences. Smelling fish sauce straight from the bottle is intense. Your brain registers it as something that's gone wrong, too fishy, too pungent. But when you cook with it, something changes. The volatile compounds that create that strong smell dissipate with heat. What remains is pure savory depth. A few drops in a stir-fry, a spoonful in soup. It doesn't make food taste fishy. It makes food taste more like itself. This is umami at its most concentrated. The amino acids created during fermentation, especially glutamic acid, amplify everything else. In Vietnamese cooking, fish sauce is the foundation. It's in pho, in spring rolls. Every Vietnamese kitchen has a bottle. In Thai cooking, it's equally essential. Pad Thai, Tom Yum soup, papaya salad. Even Western chefs have started using it. A secret ingredient that adds depth without being identifiable. If you want to buy good fish sauce, check the ingredients. It should say fish and salt, maybe water. That's it. If you see sugar or caramel color, it's been sweetened or artificially darkened. Look at the color. Good fish sauce is clear, not cloudy. The color should be reddish-brown or amber. The price tells you something. Premium fish sauce costs more. If it's $2 for a huge bottle, it's probably lower quality. In Vietnam, Red Boat is well known. In Thailand, Mega Chef and Squid brand are considered high quality. But honestly, even the cheap stuff works for most cooking. The difference matters most when fish sauce is used as a dipping sauce. Now here's where it gets interesting. Fish sauce actually improves with age. Most condiments degrade over time, but fish sauce, it gets better. As it ages in the bottle, the flavors mellow and deepen. Some producers age their fish sauce for 18 months or even 2 years before bottling. And once you open a bottle, it doesn't really go bad. The salt content is so high that bacteria can't grow. Fish sauce extracts umami from protein through fermentation. Fish break down. Glutamate releases. Flavor concentrates. But in East Asia, a different path emerged. Same principle. Different source. Instead of fish, they used soybeans. Instead of months, they waited years. The result became the most consumed condiment on Earth, found in nearly every cuisine from Tokyo to Texas. Soy sauce, the other ancient umami. And its process is even stranger. Soy sauce is old, really old. It started in China over 2,000 years ago as fermented fish and salt used to preserve food. Around the 7th century, Buddhist monks started experimenting with vegetarian versions. They replaced fish with soybeans. From China, it spread to Japan, Korea, and Southeast Asia. The Japanese call it shoyu. In Korea, it's ganjang. But the basic process? Pretty much the same everywhere. Soybeans, wheat, salt, water, and thyme. Lots of thyme. The magic ingredient that makes it all work is koji. Koji is a mold, specifically Aspergillus oryzae. Before you get worried, this is a good mold. It's the same culture used to make sake and miso. Here's what koji does. When you introduce it to cooked soybeans and roasted wheat, the mold breaks down proteins and starches. It creates enzymes that turn complex molecules into simpler ones. Amino acids, sugars, flavor compounds. Without koji, soy sauce doesn't exist. Traditional production starts with two main ingredients, soybeans and wheat, usually in equal parts. The soybeans are soaked overnight, then steamed until soft. The wheat is roasted until it smells nutty, then crushed. The cooked soybeans and roasted wheat are mixed together while still warm. Then the koji spores are added. This mixture is spread in shallow trays and left in a warm, humid room. Over 3 days, the koji mold grows. It looks like a fuzzy white blanket. Now, here's where it gets interesting. The koji is mixed with salt water. A lot of salt water. The ratio is usually 1 part koji to 2 parts brine. This salty mixture is called moromi. It's poured into huge wooden barrels and left to ferment for 6 months. Some producers age it even longer, 12 months, 18 months, some for 3 years. During this time, 2 types of fermentation happen at once. First, enzymatic breakdown. The enzymes from the koji keep working, slowly breaking down proteins into amino acids and starches into sugars. This creates the savory, umami flavor. The main amino acid responsible is glutamic acid, the same compound in MSG. Second, microbial fermentation. Lactic acid bacteria and yeasts grow in the salty environment. They produce more flavor compounds, esters, alcohols, organic acids. The barrels are stirred occasionally to keep everything mixed. In traditional production, they're stored where temperature and humidity fluctuate naturally with the seasons. As months pass, the moromi changes. It starts thick and paste-like. Gradually, it becomes more liquid. The color deepens from light brown to dark mahogany. After 6 months, it's ready. The liquid is pressed out of the solids. This is raw soy sauce. It's filtered to remove particles, then pasteurized to stop fermentation. That's it. Soybeans, wheat, salt, water, koji, and thyme. Now let's talk about the other kind. The soy sauce in those little plastic packets at takeout restaurants? Probably not made this way. There's a faster method called chemical hydrolysis. It's how most cheap soy sauce is produced. Here's the process. Soybeans are mixed with hydrochloric acid. The acid breaks down the proteins in hours instead of months. No fermentation, no koji, just chemistry. The result contains amino acids just like real soy sauce. But it doesn't have the depth, the complexity. All those flavor compounds from fermentation, they're not there. To make it taste closer to real soy sauce, producers add things. Corn syrup for sweetness, caramel coloring to darken it. Sometimes a small percentage of real fermented soy sauce to improve the taste. This is called HVP soy sauce, hydrolyzed vegetable protein. Now here's the kicker. Most people can't tell the difference in a blind taste test. If you're dipping sushi or adding it to fried rice, the flavor is close enough. The real stuff is smoother, more complex. But mixed with other ingredients? The difference isn't obvious. That's why HVP soy sauce dominates. It's cheaper, faster, good enough for most uses. Real fermented soy sauce costs more, sometimes 5 times more. If you want to know what you're getting, read the label. Real soy sauce has a short ingredient list: soybeans, wheat, salt, water, sometimes alcohol as a preservative. That's it. If you see hydrolyzed soy protein or hydrolyzed vegetable protein, it's the chemical version. In Japan, there's a term on premium bottles, honjozo. That means it's traditionally brewed with koji. Price is also a clue. If a big bottle costs $2, it's almost certainly HVP. Real fermented soy sauce usually starts around $8 to $10. 3 foods, 3,000 years of history. 1 molecule. MSG, fish sauce, soy sauce, they look nothing alike. One is white crystals. One is amber liquid from fermented fish. One is dark and complex from aged soybeans. But they all do the same thing. Deliver glutamate to your tongue and tell your brain that protein is present. That's what umami really is. Not just a flavor, a signal, an evolutionary shortcut that helped our ancestors identify foods worth eating. And for millennia, we chased that signal without knowing what we were chasing. Now you know. The next time a dish feels like it's missing something, you'll understand what's absent. And when you add a splash of soy sauce, or a pinch of MSG, or a few drops of fish sauce, you'll know exactly why it works. 2,000 years. One taste. That's the process.